kind of the days of making decisions on gut are long gone.
Welcome to the Proof of Work podcast brought to you by NoRamp. Excited for another episode today with the DailyPay CMO, Gino Palozzi. Gino, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Really excited to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It'd be great if you could give a brief background on yourself for our audience.
Sure. I've been primarily in the IT space for most of my career. Started early on in kind of some startup environments where we were doing some data analysis, credit analysis work. But I really spent a bulk of my formative kind of career as a management consultant at the time for IBM, where I kind of really built out how do you demonstrate the value of tech, right? And the outcomes that you're trying to drive, because tech is just the vehicle. And the outcomes that you're trying to achieve are the ones that you need to focus in on. So I kind of moved from that management consulting space into kind of a real home in marketing, where I really take pride in helping to be that customer facing kind of voice of the clients that I support or I'm working for at the time. And it's something that, I really have a passion for, marketing itself. So I spent probably the last 10 or so years kind of in different kind of leadership roles, whether it was at IBM, Cisco, some smaller companies. I tend to go back and forth, and most recently with DailyPay, right, as their CMO.
Amazing. Yeah, you've had a really interesting career. And I think it's interesting that you chose marketing after you had so many options, right? You could have gone many different paths. What interested you the most about marketing?
What I find, what I'm passionate about is that marketing is actually more of a science than people give it credit for. And I think the ability to bring creative ideas and that getting in front of the clients, listening to the clients, but also looking at the data and the science behind it, not just the art of marketing, is something that has really kind of blossomed over the last 5-10 years. And it's something that I have a background in as a data background. And I just feel that bringing that to the table allows marketing to drive decisions through the data and have a bigger voice at the table, right? When you're actually trying to make decisions about the company and where to spend your money and how to achieve the goals that we set. So the data aspect of it in particular is I can geek over it all day long.
A lot of people don't appreciate how much data is involved in higher level marketing decisions. I guess people who are outside technology or even just outside of marketing, they just think it's slapping some pictures and posting on social media.
Paint by numbers. Yeah, I'm colorblind. So that's the dirty secret about being a CMO. It's not always about being creative, and you need to have creative ideas, but you can hire creatives to support. But people don't understand the depth of the insights that we can deliver and kind of the attribution or the cause and effect that you can show in terms of building kind of a sustainable growth business. And marketing can take the forefront of that, right? And we in many ways, you need to be vocal about it, and you need to grab that bull by the horn to really say data is the deciding factor. Gut is kind of the days of making decisions on gut are long gone. So
How big is the marketing team at DailyPay?
we have a very good sized team for a relatively small company. We're early stage, right? Still, in my opinion, right? But we have a very kind of robust set of creatives. So I have a studio in house. I have the product marketing team. I have a demand gen team. And given DailyPay's business, right, where we first go to the clients to sponsor the earned wage access we offer, it's a B2B, and then we work in conjunction with those clients to kind of go to the end user and the employees. So we're kind of like that traditional B2B to C model. So I have demand gen that's focused in on not just the client acquisition, but the enrollment and adoption of the users once those clients are on board. In addition to that, a really strong PR team, right? A team that kind of gets in front of things and working with the brand team. So we have a bunch of really talented people in those kind of core disciplines of product marketing, demand generation, PR, brand. And those are the teams, that I love to work with. Each of them bring talent, and we need to be integrated in the things that we do. And that's really what I brought to the table since I've been here is how do you work as one integrated marketing team, with common shared goals, and kind of support each other we're all good at certain things, but they should ultimately have some aligned goals that we're all working towards. So that's really what I've come into play here and try to put in place since I've joined back in December.
100%. We spoke with the Active Campaigns CMO, and when I asked him, how do you lead such a large team? He just said, hire great leaders. What would your answer be? How do you lead such a large team?
I do. You do need to surround yourself with really talented people, and give them the chance to fail. You cannot micromanage a team of 40, 50 people. You just can't do it. So you do need to hire good leaders, but you also have to give them the freedom and the autonomy to be successful. Come to you with the solutions, right? Support them, right? But allow them to fail fast, hopefully succeed more often than that. I try to lead, especially in an earlier type maturity company like this. I try to lead by example, right? So you can't expect people to do things that they may not have done, but I am fortunate enough to have done at other companies. So you try to kind of show them and teach them the proverbial, teach them how to fish, um, but let them fish, right? Don't fish for them all the time. So it's really that kind of balance between hiring good people, but leading by example.
Really important to hire people that can work autonomously and not have to handhold, especially at a growing organization.
Yeah, I mean, things change fairly rapidly in this space in general, right? So you have to be agile and you have to be flexible. So you got to give people the autonomy to kind of reshift how they get the work done, right? As long as they get the work done to the what are the goals, and I say that all the time to people. It's like, what are we trying to achieve? Start with the end in mind, and then let them have the freedom to figure out how to best do it with the resources they're given, the time they're given, and the other competing priorities.
I love it. Moving on to daily pay, what does it enable for businesses and employees?
I mean, at its heart, it's a fundamentally changing the way people get paid, right? So earned wage access allows people to get that access to their wages. But what that allows us to do from an employer perspective, who you support that benefit, is it really gives them that kind of differentiator in the market, so they can actually not just attract talent or you know retain that talent, because those are true benefits of offering these types of freedoms that we give, but it also motivates them too. So it's really beneficial from their perspective to make sure that they're delivering what the workforce of today needs. Um, but more importantly, from the employee perspective, and we are very much an employee centric company, it really gives them that, what I like to call is that control and like freedom to do the things that they want to do. Like, why be constrained by some arbitrary payday cycle, right? So today's worker, today's person coming up through the ranks, like they don't hail cabs anymore. They don't kind of go and you know drive to the restaurant to pick up food. It's like people are in this kind of day-to-day instantaneous kind of world. Why should our pay be any different? And I think that benefit allows them the freedom to do the things they need to do, want to do, right? If they want to line up their pay with a bill, they want to take out their wife to dinner on Tuesday night, like you don't have to wait to Friday to figure out how to best use the money that you've earned. And I think that freedom really gives people control over their life, that peace of mind that they need, and motivates them to be really happy with that benefit being offered by their employer.
It's an ingenious business idea because for earned wages, it's like, who decided this 2 week pay cycle has to be the way it is? I mean, we changed our pay cycle and we were just like, all right, well, this is going to be the way it is.
Yeah.
But employees earn wages. Why do they have to wait 2 weeks? I love it. It's just
Yeah.
it's questioning how things were done. And I love that.
Yeah, you want it, and not only are we disrupting the payday cycle because it is rather arbitrary and probably antiquated for today's day and age, we're fundamentally disrupting some of these kind of predatory other mechanisms to get access to money you need, right? So, we'd like to say we're the antidote for the predatory payday loan too. So we are very proud of our mission to not just fundamentally change payroll and pay for good, as we like to say as a tagline, but we also want to make sure that we're disrupting some things that are not good, right? And are not in the best interest of people. So we kind of see both as really valuable drivers for why we do what we do.
What would you say Daily Pay's moat is?
Oh, her moat. I mean, I touched on it already, and I'll start with it. Is I think we're really committed to being employee centric. Like we start with the needs of the employee and understanding what they need and what they deserve and how we can support that. That's not always the case in this industry, right? So you really want to put them first, and then obviously the benefits to the employer are ancillary or they come along with supporting the employee. But the bigger probably differentiator or separates us is it's fundamentally who we partner with, right? I think we have the majority of the Fortune 500 companies out there. We also work with some of the biggest names in the ecosystem and trusted names, right? Whether it's the banks that we have partnerships with, there's the PNCs, the TD Banks, the Santanders, the Bank of Montreal. We work with ADP, right? That you probably who pay more people in the world than anybody. So when you have those type of strong partnerships, there's a level of trust and credibility that comes along with that, and it's a big responsibility. But I think that really not just is in the partnerships, but the integrations that come along with that. Um, it's really very powerful. It's very hard to replicate years and years of strengthened partnerships with these very trusted brands. We work with Visa, right, on our pay card, and it's really important that we surround ourselves with other trusted brands. That doesn't just happen. That's not going to happen from an upstart overnight. So that alone, along with our focus and our culture of being employee first, really does separate us as the leader in the space.
I love that answer because one singular company can only do so much, right? You have to be partnered with tangent businesses that can scale your offering and make your offering even better than you could have by yourself.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem, as I like to say, Ben. It's something that as we look forward and things that are changing, it's like we can't do this. We're not going to go it alone. But our mission is, be to be very clear. It's to bring earned wage access everywhere for everybody, right? And you're not going to be able to be a growth startup company and accomplish that without the right partners by your side. And that's something that we're proud of, and we continue to nurture, and we will continue to nurture that. But that is our end state. It's like this should be the status quo of how you get paid. It's not the exception. It should be the rule, in our opinion.
It almost it's one of those businesses that just makes sense, and those are the best businesses from
Yeah.
to me, because it's like why is something being done a certain way and just questioning the status quo. That's where the best businesses are built in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? There's very few layups in life and certainly in business, and this is to me um, a very rare opportunity for a win-win. It's a win for the employers who get to offer this benefit at no cost, by the way, right, to them. And then there's certainly a win to the people who have the benefit and the access to that benefit, right? So we have this amazing opportunity to not only disrupt, how things are done, but to make a real material difference in people's lives at very limited cost or investment to make that change, right? It's just the willingness to do it, to think differently.
If it's free to the companies, what is your business model?
You know, the way it works is this. We have a model where people have access, there's three ways to get your money early. Two of them are free, right? So if you want to wait for the normal, ACH and the clearance of that in 1 or 2 business days, it comes at no cost, and we support that. If you want to put it right onto a Visa Friday card, there's no cost. If you need access and you want it moved to your funds right away into your accounts, direct deposit instantaneously, there's a small like ATM like fee. So it really comes through that fee, along with obviously partnerships and things that we do with Visa regarding the reloadable cash card. But that's it. That's simple. And we're really there to make sure people have optionality in how they receive their money. We're less about like we don't care how you get your money as long as it meets your needs.
You've had the opportunity to see both kind of B2C and B2B marketing. They're obviously very different. Success hinges on different approaches. What have you seen as the most successful B2B marketing tactic as what you're
In my
working with?
career,
Sure.
oh, I don't. Tactics are interesting. I'd say I'd group the tactics that I think are most successful are the ones that bring marketing and sales together. So historically coming up through the ranks, right? I've been doing this for a long time. We're in the past a little bit like two ships in a night, where sales had a goal and marketing had a goal. And yes, we had shared objectives, but we didn't necessarily work together. Now, with some technologies and things that are available to you, the tactics where you can actually set up a partnership with sales to bring a very targeted set of buyers or audience together, enable them with the content, and give them the tools to kind of do more account-based marketing type activities where you can actually have them send out these personalized messages at scale. um, it gets the power of marketing into the hands of the sellers. And what that does is it not only strengthens the relationship of our kind of sales plays that we do in concert with them, it brings a different level of appreciation to the data, the tools that marketing has at its disposal. So it opens the eyes of the sellers to say, we're in it with you. It's like, let us set up the audience. Who are you trying to reach? Let us help you kind of build a tailored, personalized experience for whoever you want to reach. And then we give you the power, just like marketing in the past has had the power to send emails or send out targeted ads. You have that ability as a seller to do that directly, right? And we set it all up, right? But now all of a sudden they feel a bigger part of it. They have a bigger appreciation for things, and the results tend to be, dwarf a standalone sales play driven by sales alone, or a standalone marketing campaign that we do on our own. When you actually can work together, those outcomes and those tactics tend to work really, really well in B2B. And we're one revenue team, right? We're no longer sales and marketing. It's one revenue team, one goal. And we got to share not only practices and tactics, but like, making sure that the success of these things are seen all the way through, from top of the funnel through hopefully completion where they're a new client.
Absolutely. Is AI something you're focusing on integrating and implementing?
The old AI question. I think AI, what some of the more interesting use cases I've seen and I've heard from my colleagues and peers. I'm not personally really steeped in it, but I'm watching it closely. I think that the opportunity to really put together a clear message, and the ability to understand kind of not just the behaviors of, like, there's always been this kind of behavioral kind of propensity modeling, but what about building content that you ask and you have AI help you build the perfect kind of message, right, for the perfect persona? So tell me, like, whether you want to do, I have this buyer characteristic. What would they be most interested in hearing? And they are somebody that you can actually put into the system and kind of get feedback that in the past we'd have to have very smart people do, but it's a long process to build that content and then to test that content to see if it resonated. Now we can accelerate some of that. That's still, you got to know the right questions to ask, the right parameters to set with AI. But I think the biggest opportunity in the short term is going to be the content creation and understanding how we can take and curate content based on certain parameters. But you get really good at understanding the questions to set up. But there's people that are starting entire businesses around this. But that's probably the one that's going to come fast and furious. Predictive and propensity modeling. There's been a lot of advanced analytics in marketing, and there continues to be. But I think AI can help us accelerate creation and agility, because content creation and the experimentation and testing of that takes a long time.
In the marketing context, I agree. I think the biggest use case for AI in marketing is agility, as you said. That it's just speeding up processes that are taking too long.
It does, and you still have to have the intelligence behind it to understand who is your audience, who do you believe is your audience, what kind of characteristics and parameters you want to set, whatever you're trying to have it accelerate. So you have to have people with experience and knowledge, but it's a different set of knowledge, right? It's not so much the sole creator, it's the kind of curator of the personas or the curator of the audience, right? And what that audience wants, and let AI do some of the heavy lift.
DailyPay is a leader, if not the leader, in the on-demand pay space. I'm curious what the future looks like for both you and the space more broadly.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are the leader. It's something that we not only take pride in, but it's a big responsibility to make sure that this is heading in a direction that's going to be in everybody's best interest. Um, I mentioned our mission is clear, right? To bring EWA everywhere, right? To everyone. what we've seen and what I think will continue to happen is what has slowed the progression of this over the last couple of years is a little bit of regulatory uncertainty, right? And that has created some people to say, let's take a wait and see approach. We don't we want to embrace and run to regulation, right? And as we start seeing this year in particular, where 2 states have passed legislation, consumer protection in support of putting guardrails around EWA, we actually wanted to be a part of that. They came to us as the leader to help understand and because we believe in the same guardrails and we believe in the same protections. So I think as that starts to solidify, and it's starting to happen now very quickly, you're going to see a flood of more people willing to kind of go forward with kind of what we believe is the future because they feel more comfortable with the protections that are in place. So I think the biggest thing that's going to change is the regulatory certainties that's going to firm up, and it's going to open the floodgates for more and more companies to kind of get on board and want to kind of participate in this, because I think if you're not going to be participating in the future, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So that's probably the biggest change, and it's a little bit outside our control. But at the same time, we embrace it, we run towards regulation, and we want the same thing that these consumer protection agencies want as well.
You said you run towards regulation. Are you in active conversation with the right regulators?
Yeah, I mean, we have conversations, and we have a whole team of people that focus in on understanding what their concerns are and helping to understand not just how it works, but how it works here, right? How they need to understand what are the guardrails that are in place with us, so they can better put the right parameters around their regulation. So yeah, we work with them. We have a whole legal team that kind of supports that and answers any questions because they're coming to us to ask us as the leader. So it's not like we need to go to them, which is kind of a nice position to be in.
Absolutely. Them coming to you can create new regulatory frameworks around this space, which is that's really exciting to be at the forefront of that.
Yeah, we worked with all the sponsors of those bills, and we expect more of them to be coming too, right? So we'll continue to embrace it and not, we're not shying from it. We want to be helping move this in the direction that's in the best interest of the consumer.
That's very exciting. In terms of my last question, this has been an interesting one. Everyone's had some interesting answers. You can either choose your favorite quote, your most polarizing belief, or both.
I'll give you a quote. I think, I'm not sure who said it. It's an age-old quote, but it says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. And I think, the reason that is so interesting to me is like, you do want to surround yourself with intelligent people that you're learning from, that are going to teach you as much as, putting aside kind of levels of authority and responsibilities. Surround yourself with really smart people so that you're learning all the time, and let them have that voice, right? So I'll take the quote further because my dad had an interesting spin on that. My dad kind of spun it a little differently. He said, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably the dumbest. And I think that's actually more telling because you need to recognize that everybody has talents and everybody is smart in their own kind of area. You just have to pull it out of them and understand it and value it and appreciate it. So I think it's really surrounding yourself is the message with the right people to help you be successful, is critical in anything you do in life.
Teamwork's everything, right?
It makes the dream work, as they say. That's probably a less that's a little bit more of a cliche quote, but yes, it is true.
I love it. Gino, thank you so much for taking the time. Really enjoyed the conversation and wish you and the DailyPay team best of luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.